right, everybody. Welcome to the Bears Den, presented by WARR Media and SportsZone Chicago. I am Saul Rodriguez, joined by my co-host Joe Tanksley, who you see on all of our Bears coverage, as well as Sean Sierra, who is our official Bears field reporter. He'll be joining us in just a bit. This week, we're also joined by Ryan Bukovetsky, who you can see on that Davis show, as well as all our Bears coverage from last year to the offseason. How's everyone doing? How you doing, Ryan?
Doing good. I got baseball and football on. Talking to you fellas. What a beautiful Thursday night.
I know, right? That's what I was telling Joe before. I'm like, with this generational matchup on Thursday night with Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes, you got to take, you got to watch both games, take them in. But I definitely wanted to see Mahomes
Broncos hanging
Kelsey
tough in there though.
Yeah, that's true. I will say that was along with like the interceptions and all that stuff. But yeah, it's definitely. Oh, and we're joined now by Sean Sierra. How you doing, Sean?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Just got going here. So how you doing, Joe? How you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I was a little bit under the weather, but I'm happy to be back. I'm 100% ready to go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And just like, hey, the Bears look like they were sick for the first few weeks, and somehow that offense is back, man. So like, hey, even though they're 1-4, it's kind of odd to see some of these people getting optimistic and look at all these, look at the rest of the season and be like, oh, they can win this amount of games, they can win this amount, whatever. But at the same time, I guess you got to enjoy it. But despite being 1-4 and sensing that optimism, I mean, the offense, like I said, looked a little better. Offensive line is getting healthy. And even though they have a long way to go, when it all, do you guys think that everything's coming together finally? Or is it one of those things where you got to chill out and see, wait a couple more weeks? We'll start with you, Sean.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think it's coming together. Here's the issue. I've never been out on Justin Fields. Okay. I've never been out on him. And a lot of people were, a lot of people who don't know the game were, and it was frustrating. You're like, come on, dude. Like, it takes time to develop, to get chemistry. All right. You had most of your offensive line was hurt. Okay. So the last couple games, and then Luke Getsy had to get out of his own way. Okay. He had to get out of his own way. They weren't forcing the ball to DJ Moore. All right. They weren't moving the pocket with Justin. They weren't allowed. There was just a lot of stuff that Luke Getsy wasn't doing that he did all of a sudden changed. Thank goodness. And I keep it. I'm not unaware that it was against two bad defenses. Okay. That's fine. Okay. But the biggest thing that now they got confidence. They have confidence. So we're going to go up against the defense. Here's the thing that there's always naysayers, and I don't understand why. All right. They're mad about the points. They're mad about this. And then we actually should have won the last two games, but that was Eberflus's decision not to kick the field goal in Denver. So people are complaining about Justin Fields doesn't look ready. Well, now he looks ready. So now people are hanging on, well, his win-loss record. Well, stop. People need to stop being such negative Nancy's. All right. I think this offense is finally clicking. We're gonna see this week against a better defense, not a great defense, but a better defense. And we'll go from there. Brian Flores likes to blitz. So now he's in a conundrum. So do you blitz and keep a guy and maybe not have enough guys to double DJ Moore? We're going to find out. Because if you double team DJ Moore, then Cole Kmet better eat. Darnell Mooney better eat. Everybody else is going to have one-on-one coverage, and they need to eat. They need to make sure they step up if DJ Moore is doubled. And if he's not doubled, well, then Justin needs to go to work with that. So, I don't think I'm not ready to put them up with Air Coryell or the 1999 St. Louis Rams or anything, but I think the offense is starting to get on track, and I think it's going to continue to get better from here on out.
Yeah, you're right, and I think just take it one game at a time. And like I've been telling a lot of people, this is a 1-game winning streak because they snapped that 14-game losing streak. I'm like, you might as well celebrate it. But what do you think, Joe? How do you feel about that win and just how the offense has been looking the last couple of weeks?
It's very encouraging to see Justin put, a couple games together, when he's been a dynamic, passing the football. What this underscores is to me is the value of preseason. He didn't get a lot of preseason reps. They didn't get a lot of preseason reps to get together. And, like Sean said, offense, you got a lot of new, pieces coming together. It takes time to kind of work, to work in jail. With that being said, you mentioned the bad defenses. Well, had Justin not carved up those defenses, we would have even been more down on he was supposed to do against those teams. And the fact that he could do that, is encouraging. We get a step up in class this week, against the Vikings, and I'm looking to see how Luke Getsy and Justin can adjust now and do things on the fly to still put points on the board, because I don't think that what they've done with DJ Moore is it's on tape. So what's going to be the counterpunch now? When teams try to take that away, and you have to be constantly, you have to be playing chess. You have to be be ahead of the curve. And so when they come out this Sunday, I'm looking to see if that offense could be ahead of the curve and do something a little bit different, to kind of move it up, put it on the board.
Yeah, 100%. I think, and we'll talk about the Vikings because of this is, another, what we like to call winnable game, right? But either way, you could always say that you got to go out there and execute. But Ryan, what have you thought about the Bears overall? Since of course, this is the first time you joining us on the Bears Den during the season. What are your thoughts about the Bears? Their transition from where they were, a few weeks ago to where the offense is now, to the team as a whole.
Well, I mean, you got to be encouraged about the possibilities with Justin Fields now and how this offense has put some stuff together. And you see how like people were excited before the year about a potential maybe like 8-9 season because you thought offensively they'd be able to compete and they'd be able to do some things. And we've actually seen the deep ball. We've actually seen the connection of DJ Moore. Some of these things are coming together a little bit. You lose Chase Claypool, which maybe was a distraction within that locker room, sometimes addition by subtraction. And then I look at the preseason as well. They just really didn't play much at all. And, we would constantly, when Tom Brady was with the Patriots, talk about how, hey, they just take September off, really. That's their preseason to get ready for the long run. And I'm not saying the Bears are trying to attempt anything like that, but you just wonder if maybe it just took a little bit of time and all that talk of like, hey, it's a long season. Now, that being said, I do think it depends on the opponent. It's going to be each week when like how well they match up, because I just don't think they're going to match up against any type of team and show this kind of explosivity that we've seen. It's really helped that you played the Commanders and the Broncos for us to see some of this good stuff happening. And so I'm really interested in this game against Minnesota. It seems like they're kind of waving the white flag. There's talk that maybe they'll trade Kirk Cousins earlier, or maybe they're in the Caleb Williams draft lottery at 1-5, just like the Bears, or I'm sorry, 1-4, just like the Bears. So I wonder how much fight they're going to show. But regardless, you've got kind of like a wounded team coming into your home turf. I mean, if you're trying to make a statement, Justin Fields, this offense, this coaching staff, this is a big week to do something like that.
Yeah, 100%. And another thing too, that's, that had Bears fans optimistic, after the last week. I mean, DJ Moore, first wide receiver to win the NFC Offensive Player of the Week since Marcus Robinson in December of 1999. I was 5 years old. But that was great. That's wild. But anyways, you guys,
insane.
Yeah.
But do you guys think, like, and you guys have talked about it, you guys mentioned about DJ Moore, but really is that sign of things to come in general? Are you guys in more of the camp that, hey, if this team's going to lose some games, they're going to lose some games. We already know that. But as long as they have performances like that from, like, I know you can't do that every week, but great performances from guys like DJ Moore, Justin Fields, like, I mean, that's kind of the best thing we could hope for at this moment, right? What do you think, Joe?
Well, I think that, there's a lot. I'm of the mindset now, when you got teams that are beatable, that you can win, you need to beat those teams. All right? Like, this week is not a week for a moral victory. Yeah, it'll feel good if Justin goes out there and throws for 300 yards and, and 3 touchdowns, again, saying they lose. It'll feel a little bit better. But for this team to start building a strong foundation, they need to start building that, winning culture. And they need to be able to do the things in game, in practice, that's necessary to win, week in and week out. That's what, the good football teams do. Yeah, it'd be encouraging to see the offense, put points on the board. But the defense has to long. They got guys back, in the secondary, and Justin Jefferson is not going to play. This is really a week that the Bears need to go out there and make a statement that they're turning the corner. Anything other than that is going to be a disappointment to me.
What do you think, Sean?
Ooh.
There you mute.
I want to see Mooney. I want to see Cole Kmet continue, but I want to see Mooney step up, because what's going to happen is if you do continue to double team or shade a safety and bracket DJ Moore, I want to see those other guys get off. Okay, if they can, all they got to do is once, because then all of a sudden now you're kind of screwed as the defensive coordinator. All right, so I think it's going to continue. I honestly do. I just think that DJ Moore is that guy. All right, people try to double Justin Jefferson. They've tried to double the Cheetah. They've tried to double Jamar Chase. Great receivers get open, and they'll come down with footballs. Okay, it's gonna help. It's gonna help everybody else as far as I'm saying. I lost my train of thought. As far as Mooney and these other guys, it's going to help those guys. But I think it's going to continue, man. I really think it's going to continue, because I think the confidence that they got from the last couple of weeks is really growing. I think Justin finally has a security blanket. Remember Jay Cutler with Brandon Marshall? I mean, he would force it in with 3 guys, and B. Marshall would come out with it. All right, so I think Justin Fields is gaining that type of confidence with DJ Moore. And I think it's gonna open up a lot of doors for everybody else. And like I said, if you don't shade or you don't shade DJ Moore or bracket him, he's definitely going to come down with some big plays. And if you start hitting him with quick passes, which I like, give me a hitch. You can't if you're bracketing him, if you're shading a safety over there, you can't do anything on a hitch. You're far too far back. So I think Chris Getsy needs to make sure that he gets some quick hitters to DJ Moore, because if he does, we've already seen him break tackles. All right, that's not even an issue. So we already see him break tackles. And if the safety's not far enough over, it looks like DJ Moore can actually run by people. So I think this offense is going to continue. I think the one thing that I really liked, if you remember the touchdown, I want to say it was to Herbert. Was it the last one? Khalil Herbert. All right. You saw Justin Fields dancing in the backfield. All right. The defensive end had him, but all of a sudden he ran left. The guy tried to keep him contained. He stopped. Justin Fields went forward, the defensive end went forward, and then Justin Fields went back. He was just kind of playing with him. That shows you confidence. That shows you someone who's relaxed. That shows you someone who's having fun. And that shows you someone who the game has slowed down for. And those are the reasons why I think that this offense is going to continue to go the way it's been the last couple of games.
What do you think, Ryan?
Well, I guess 2 things. First thing, just overall with how Justin Fields is playing, part of it I think is getting some healthy guys back. That offensive line, like Tevin Jenkins, was a big deal
time
for them in that game against the Commanders.
Yeah, you got it, Ryan. Oh yeah.
They really looked better in the run game overall too. They were actually kind of dominating like they did multiple times last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just overall, I gotta disagree completely with what Joe said earlier. I could care less if they lose this game. If that offense is humming and Justin Fields is throwing, because I forgot exactly how many starts he has. He's around 30 starts, but coming into this year was about 25, 26, 27. He rarely broke 300 yards, and that was starting to get really concerning. And part of that was the team around him, and they were totally tanking last year. But you just wanted to see it. And now that you've kind of seen that back-to-back weeks, if that momentum train just keeps going, I could care less about that win-loss. But I want to see this offense continue to hum. Because, Joe, the only other thing, too, is That defense, I don't think, maybe some guys coming back healthy again, right? If you get Eddie Jackson, Jalen Johnson, but unless there's some big-time player development on that D-line, I just think they're going to struggle a lot in general to keep teams down offensively. So you're going to probably be in a lot of shootouts if you're going to win ball games. I don't know if they're quite there yet. So losing to me isn't as big of a deal as long as you see the progress made from the offense overall.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I'm thinking, when you get to a team like Minnesota that's 1-4, and you said it yourself, they might be, on the brink of, waving the white flag. That's a team that you need to put out your misery, and that's what winning football teams do. They kick the bad teams when they're down, and that's what the need to be doing.
Well, we still might need Caleb Williams. Really quick, we still might need Caleb Williams. We gotta just keep trying to lose these games as best as we can now.
No, we don't need Caleb Williams. We get that number 1 pick and we trade him for a haul. We don't need him at all. You know what? I'm not diminishing his talent. I'm not diminishing his potential at all. But I'm not. It makes no sense to me to have this offense clicking, especially if this offense continues to progress. To take the quarterback out to put a new quarterback in. You're not putting in another receiver. You're not putting in a running back. You're putting in a new quarterback. And why would you mess up something that's already, if it continues to progress, why would you start over? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense when you have the chemistry, when you have the camaraderie, when you have the trust between Justin Fields, DJ Moore, and the rest of his receivers. To bring in a new quarterback, it's going to take a year or two to gain some trust. Because I don't know if they're going to hit it off as well as DJ Moore and Justin Fields did when he came over. They hit it off like gangbusters, because they're exactly what each other needed. Justin Fields needed a number 1 receiver, and DJ Moore needed a legit quarterback from all the shit quarterbacks that he's played with, which is actually an insult to shit quarterbacks, literally. That crew. And the symmetry and that energy is fine. And again, no disrespect to Caleb Williams by any stretch, but I that pick, we get it. Trade that sucker for everything you can get and their mama. I'm telling you, let's do it. We don't need him.
You know what?
I think
John,
for me,
go ahead.
Fields, just where I'm at, I just want to see it. Like I'm not against that at all, Sean. I really like Fields. I think you opened by saying you've always been and continue to be a Fields guy. That was me until a little bit ago. I've wavered a little. I'll admit it, but like I haven't.
What made you waver, Ryan? What made you waver? What made you waver on him?
It's nothing to do. The only thing he's missing to me right now, which you've seen the last 2 weeks, is just sort of like an understanding, a mental piece to me, because physically he's got it all. I don't think there's anything holding him back with his skill set. It's really just trusting it, ripping it, and just putting it into those game situations. If you got to put it up because you need to throw a deep ball to back off a defense, understanding when to take a risk versus not take a risk, when to let it rip, not rip, all these little like finer details within quarterbacking. I was starting to really believe that it was just too over his head. And then maybe the reason why I loved him so much as a prospect was just what was around him at Ohio State. But the last 2 weeks, I've definitely not been feeling that way whatsoever. So I just want to see it just stacked. I want to see multiple performances, and then I think you feel pretty good about just where he's at contractually and the investment moving forward.
I hear you. He's got 2 games so far, and if they continue, we have a nice little stretch. And trust me, we're not playing any world beaters. All right, we're playing just a few teams. But I was for me the eye test. All right, there was a lot. You mentioned his lack of talent the last couple of years. Year 1, you could just throw out. And you know what? And people who are negative Nancy's, and they're going to say, well, he's 6-25 or whatever the hell his record is. All right, look at the whole first year doesn't count. Last year doesn't even count. All right, you explain to me how you expect this guy to win when you trade away one of the best linebackers in the NFL in Roquan Smith. You trade away a sack specialist in Robert Quinn. You don't let Akeem Hicks back. You don't welcome him back. I mean, it was literally a gut rehab. You're literally gutted it down to the sport or to the frame
to the studs.
And we still literally had 7 1-score games. 7 1-score games. All right, Darnell Mooney doesn't double clutch that against the Commanders. It's a win on the goal line. if Amir Smith Merced doesn't try and show off all of a sudden and try and get extra yards against Minnesota, we have another chance to win. If we don't we miss the extra point against the Dolphins, there's another chance we have to win. There were plenty of games that Justin Fields could have. He did everything but. Was it the last Green Bay game? Was the third down? They didn't call the pass interference on Chase Claypool, and then the ball goes through EQ St. Brown's hands on fourth down. I mean, these are all games that Justin can't throw the ball and catch the ball at the same time. So when people, and not you, Ryan, but a lot of people, especially the national media, who don't watch these games per se, when they say, "Well, Justin Fields has to win," well, Justin Fields can't do it by himself. So you've seen all those things, and I'm not saying they would have won the Minnesota game. I'm not saying they would have won the Miami game. I'm saying they had the opportunity to win that. Now, if they're losing by 2 or 3 scores, well, then that's a different story. But this guy kept you in the game with everything he had, with a horrible, horrible supporting cast. Now he has a supporting cast. Dude, it's been a wrap for me. When I saw him in college, I was hoping we'd somehow be able to get him. We got him. Man, just believe, Ryan. Just believe. I'm telling you. Just believe. You'll see.
Believe.
All right, John, I think you convinced me. There. That was a good one. That's a good argument right there. Because I'm like you. I was hoping he would fall. I was hoping there'd be some magic that day. I definitely think he's got everything. It's just putting it together and doing it, and we're seeing it now. So I've got no complaints whatsoever.
Sean, I want to stay with that joy of yours because I know there was nobody happier when they saw that the Bears traded Chase Claypool to Miami Dolphins. How did you feel about finally getting? He's out of our hair, man. We shipped him off.
It's about time. You know what? And I have nothing personal against Chase Claypool. Okay, but the fact of the matter is that if he said something like about losing and stuff like, listen, dude, you're in the NFL making millions of dollars. All right. The fact that you're an enabled little and spoiled little brat. All right. You understand how many people would love to have that opportunity that you have, would love to have the skill set that you have. 6'4", 220 runs a 4.4 with a 38-inch vertical. Come on, man. So the fact is that you didn't like losing. You think anyone liked losing? Then you know what? Then you need to make sure that you get your ass in the weight room. You need to make sure that you shouldn't have been off modeling in Paris overseas. If losing was so bad for you, then you know what you say. You know what? I can't do this. Why? Because I need to make sure. The reason I'm modeling is because I'm a pro football player. So I need to take care. I need to dance to who brung me. Okay, and football got me to this point. So I need to put all my focus toward football and not toward modeling. Now, when he's over there with the NFL promoting it, okay, I get it, fine. But man, you know what? It's unfortunate that someone like that who has that ability, who has that skill set, has refused to take advantage of it. And that's all it is he wasted it. Now, they're talking about moving him to tight end. They're talking about moving him to tight end because there's not enough footballs to go around over there in Miami. And you know what? He better adjust to that because otherwise this might be his last shot. So you know what? I feel I have no compassion for him. I don't feel sorry for him. All right. You have to understand what's your breadwinner? What pays the bills? That's football. And if you can't get it's a small fraternity, and you have the opportunity to play that, and you don't cherish it with your life. You don't look at it. You don't cherish it like gold. Man, bump you because you know what? There's so many people, myself included, who I just wanted to try it. I couldn't even get a tryout with the Bears. All right, coming out of college. And they traded for you, and you have the opportunity, and you squandered it. Hey, homie, I don't feel sorry for you, Papa. You know what? You're gonna have to learn how to live with something you should have had that you lost. So I'm glad he's out of here. I don't really think it was that big of a distraction. It was more just annoyance. But you know what? Get him out of here. He didn't want to play. He's a little diva. You know, I don't want to block. Sorry, homie. It's part of your job as a wide receiver. You got to block. And you got to catch. Stop the one. I forgot what game it was. He jumped up and caught it here with alligator arms. Get your ass. You're 6'4", dude. Jump up and catch the ball. So yeah, good riddance. I got no ill will toward him, but I am wishing him well. He's you know what? He's been rendered irrelevant to me.
Hey, Sean, look, I just want
how much he's gonna love blocking as a tight end. That's gonna be
yeah, real talk, Ryan. Real talk.
provocative.
They make him a tight end. He's got to block a little. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
And that's the thing I wanted to give Sean his moment, because I know, like, man, Sean has been cooking on it, like, rightfully so. I mean, he deserves, like, the stuff that we've seen from Claypool and some of the stuff he said, whatever it is. But like I said, he's out of our hair there. But looking ahead now to the matchup this weekend is division rival Minnesota Vikings, as we mentioned already. They sit at 1-4 as well. This team is a year removed from winning 13 games. And there's been even talks about Kirk Cousins being dealt to the Jets, just rumors like that and stuff like that.
Right.
But to make matters worse, they will be without their star wideout in Justin Jefferson for a while. Jefferson was placed on the injured reserve a couple of days ago with an injury to his hamstring. How do you guys see this game unfolding? Because like most of these games, like
you didn't hear, they're gonna be without the two defensive guys, Brian Burns and Derek Brown.
Oh.
They were downgraded to did not participate in practice, so they're down more guys and two guys on the defensive side of the ball as well.
There you go. I mean, yeah. So, and look, I was gonna say too, because Joe mentioned how they should win this game and whatever. But I'm kind of in the same camp as Ryan in the sense of, like, I'm at the point where I'm like, don't get me wrong. If they come back, win like 6 in a row, which I'm not saying they're gonna do, but I'm ecstatic. But at the same time, I just want to see development from Fields, and I care more about that than wins, to be honest, at this point. But I understand where Joe's coming from, where, like, getting a win, especially against the Vikings, it does say a lot, especially with where they were last year and where the Bears want to go for.
Here's the thing. I think leading your team to victory is a part of quarterback development.
Fair.
Being being able to put points to the board, put more points on the board. I think it's part of quarterback development, and I think that should be the goal of the Bears, especially with the subtractions that not the Miami, but the Minnesota Vikings have. Coming into this week. This is, we should be looking at this from week to week. And can the Bears and Justin Fields, Luke Getsy and Justin come up with a game plan that they can take advantage of the they may end up on the losing side of it, but you've got to be able to put your team in the position to win. Sean laid it out last year, how many one-score games that the Bears were in. The goal is, should go is not to put, stat pad. It's go out there and do what you need to do to win the game.
Fair enough. Is it? I get what you're saying. You're saying, it's part of the development to win games. I definitely get that. So, well, Ryan, how do you see this matchup unfolding though against the Vikings this weekend?
I mean, it's up to that offense to be the engine that drives them to any type of victory or competitiveness. They've got to bring it, because I think Kirk Cousins is still playing pretty well. I think he's still going to have an opportunity to play well in this game. I mean, the Bears defensive line is still the Bears defensive line. They're going to have to bring pressure, and that worked against Sam Howell, but I don't know how well that's going to work necessarily against Kirk Cousins. Not to say that they shouldn't do it, because you've got to generate some kind of pressure on him. But I think it comes down to ball control and making explosive plays, especially with Justin Jefferson out. You're thinking the explosive plays, at least for the Vikings, goes down some. So you gotta take advantage of that, create some big plays, try to own that time of possession with your ground game, and I think just try to literally squeeze the life out of the Vikings in this one and play a 4 quarters, which they haven't really done. They've kind of played some nice halves the last couple of weeks, but they haven't put together 4 quarters. So getting out to a lead, I think, has been really big for them. So I would say that's another key. Get out to a lead and try to protect it versus trailing. And Joe, I think you bring up a ton of great points. I'm totally with you. I don't want Caleb Williams on the Vikings, so they just got to lose this week, and then they just got to lose against the Panthers. That's it. And then you can have as many moral victories as you want, my friend.
What do you think, Sean?
I'm concerned about Jordan Addison. He's a guy that is probably going to he's going to have to step in for Justin Jefferson, and if you don't give him the respect that he deserves, because he's a decent receiver, don't allow him to have a great game. Him and TJ Hawkinson are the two dudes that I think they need to really focus on. Their tight end, and if they can do that, I think they're going to have a good day. Because my guy N'Keal Harry, he's over there, the guy I really liked with the Bears last year. I don't think he's going to be have a career day. I hope not anyway. But you know what, Brandon Powell, these are guys we got to watch. I'm not too concerned with them. Respect them, make sure, and don't let them beat you now, because now you you don't have to focus on Justin Jefferson. So there's really nobody in there who's a game breaker. There's nobody in there who I'm concerned with. And I think they need, they need to really get back to playing good, solid defense. All right. In that cover two, the cover two, and I know it's, a lot of people don't like it. It's fine if you play it correctly. If you allow your DBs to not freelance, no, but if you allow them to bend the rules a little bit of the cover two, as far as carrying a receiver a little deeper. If you're a cornerback and you got nothing in the flats, you can carry a receiver a little deeper until you get another threat. And it's going to be. I think this is going to be a big game for the Bears that they win, because that's going to give them, like you said, a 2-game win streak. All right, it should be 3, but it's not. So it's going to be a 2-game win streak. Then you got Vegas coming in. All right, then they can turn on them, and then now they're going to have a lot more confidence, a lot more. I don't want to say a lot more. I guess confidence is probably the best word moving in, but I'm looking forward to that, and because there's really nobody that I think can stop us. And don't let Jordan Addison is good. He's a good receiver at USC. All right, let's not make him a star, and just make sure you respect who you're playing. And I hope that they don't have a letdown because Justin Jefferson's not playing. All right, that sometimes that tends to happen, especially with a young team. Like, okay, this stud ain't playing. Whew, we got it in the bag. No, you don't. These are NFL players, and they, Jordan Addison was a stud, and he could be a stud. This could be his breakout game if you let it. Can't let him have his breakout game and become a star against us. You got to stick to the principles that you had last week. Ryan, you mentioned it. Coach Eberflus has got to bring pressure. He's got to get Kirk Cousins off his spot. He's good against the blitz. So you know what? We have just about all our starters back. Kirk Cousins against the blitz versus our stud secondary. We're going to find out.
Yeah, and Addison has been making an impact even with Jefferson on the field. So it does kind of make me think, it'll be more dangerous when he's, the main target. And man, Sean, you mentioned N'Keal Harry. Now I'm going to be thinking about N'Keal Harry revenge game now on Sunday.
Oh, stop.
I'm like,
you gonna bet it? You gonna put money on it?
N'Keal Harry.
Sean, when you said that, I got a chill down my spine. I was thinking like, oh man, don't put that kibosh on the Bears. N'Keal Harry's gonna come from the grave.
I know, like.
Coast us.
Oh man, no, yeah, definitely not. We'll start talking about N'Keal Harry altogether in that game. But the last thing I want to ask you guys, we'll go to the rest of the league now. I wanted to ask you guys about the NFC North, because it seems like a carousel with all those teams and all those games. The Steelers beat the Ravens, and it's just a whole circus over there. But I wanted to get you guys' thoughts, because I mean, look, the Bengals. Even though they won against the Cardinals, they looked a little better. I mean, even though it was the Cardinals, I should say, they looked a little better offensively. And after Jamar Chase's comments about being open, is this still the Bengals' division to lose, or do you guys see either a surprise or still the Ravens or something like that? We'll start with you, Sean. What do you think?
I think it's the Ravens to lose, but it's not as deadlock as sure as it has been in the past. I think there's still a chance for other teams to continue to come up. Pittsburgh's got a good shot. I know, especially when you saw Pickett to Pickens, say that 5 times real fast. If that connection continues to roll, teams could have some problems. So I think it's still kind of wide open. I just think Baltimore is going to lead the pack for now. But to me, it's still wide open. It's still wide open.
What do you think, Joe?
You know what? I don't ever think you can count on Mike Tomlin. He's done it year in and year out. A lot of times with scraps, he finds a way to get his teams to play for him. And have winning records. So you can't really count him out. I'm kind of leaning, with the Bengals. I'm a Joe Burrow fan. Burrow's my guy. And they've been hot the last couple of years. Having some deep playoff runs, and I think Joe Burrow gets it together with Jamar Chase and Higgins and all those guys, and they start cooking a little bit. I think as the season goes on and they start gelling a little bit more, I think they're going to start taking a little bit more control. I think Baltimore, I think they're having a lot of issues right now with their offense. Guys are dropping the ball for Lamar, and they kind of got the same thing that was happening here with Justin. we gonna make him a pocket passer? Are we gonna, do the things that Lamar does? And they seem like they're trying to figure it out now. They got a brand new offensive coordinator, going in, so they got a lot to work out. So I think I'm gonna lean with Cincinnati.
Yeah, I don't blame you, especially with the way they've done and they've been able to bounce back from rough starts in the past. So, what do you think, Ryan?
I would lean Baltimore. I I struggle with the Steelers. I like their chances the least, but I trust them the most, almost in a sense, if that makes sense. Like Mike Tomlin's probably going to get him to 10-6 again.
Mike Tomlin.
Or I'm sorry, 10-7 all over again, because he always gets at least 10 wins and goes above 500. And I bet you if some of these teams like Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Cleveland, they underperform, the Steelers will be right there to try to take the division. I think the wild card are those Ohio teams. Like if Deshaun Watson, he kind of just doesn't look right anymore. But if he ever finds that magic, I feel like that team is crazy talented, and they would have a chance to really do something. And then, of course, Cincinnati, like you said, Joe, has been putting on those great runs. And I love Joe Burrow the most out of any quarterback in that division. But right now, he's just not playing that great. So I think the overall talent and consistency of Baltimore probably wins out. But I'm like with Sean, I think it's wide open. And the Ohio wild cards might decide it in a sense.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a wild finish, I'm sure. And as you mentioned, that's how I feel about the Steelers. Is like, they have the coaching to I think if they had any other coach, they might look a little different. But especially with that win and the way they played on Sunday against the Ravens. It's gonna be crazy, but it's gonna be a wild finish, and I think that's a good place to wrap things up for this edition of WARR Media and SportsZone Chicago's Bears Den. I want to thank everyone for joining me, Ryan Bukovetsky, as well as Sean Sierra and Joe Tanksley. For everyone at WARR Media and SportsZone Chicago, appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.